Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Okay, I think we can start. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar of the Android Capture app version 3.3.0. My name is Nancy, and today with me we also have Savi, part of the DHS2 Android team. So thank you all for joining. In this particular release, we are very excited. We have been including major improvements for new feature integrations. We have redesigned the login and the account screen. We also have some synchronization and UI improvements. I will be showing you this. We have three major demos for custom intents, for the new login screen, and for the sync by working list. I will be showing you this and Savi as well. So this is the agenda for today. We are doing some custom intents demo. As I was saying, redesign of the login and manage account screens, the sync by working list, and we have other UX improvements. And for the performance and maintenance, we have migrated the database to Kotlin multi-platform, and we have reduced the APK size. So if you have any questions during the presentation, you can write them in the chat. I think probably other members of the Android team will join and can answer, or at the end of the presentation, Savi and I will take a look to the questions and answer them as well. Okay, so let's start with the custom intents. In the general behavior, this new feature basically will allow the app to interact with third-party Android apps. So basically, if you and of course this has some requirements and some limitations, but this is a way for the Android app to have this conversation to other apps and get information to specific attributes or data elements. So this will work for tracker programs and event programs, and Sabi will explain a bit more on the demo. And the screens that you will be able to use them is directly in the form or as a part of the search flow. This is all configured using the Android settings web app. You can define there the request, the response mapping, and then decide to which attributes or data elements you want the intent for to be displayed. So this has a wide range of possibilities of different use cases. Savi will specifically use the Simprints app. Simprints has been the use case for biometrics, and they have been helping us to use this particular app to connect and be the use case as example. So Savi, over to you. I will stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Nancy. First of all, thank you all for coming to this feature spotlight. We are very excited to to share all the new features and things that we have added into the app. And just let me share my screen very quickly. Okay, can everyone see my screen? I imagine you
Yes,
will.
we
If not,
can.
great. Okay. So first of all, let's talk a bit more in depth about what custom intent is now. The actual name is specific to Android, and refers to the way we call activities in Android. So it's that's why it's called a custom intent. And as Nancy was saying, it's a very powerful feature that allows us to integrate the DHIS to Android capture hub with third-party Android applications. By configuring this, administrators can enable the app to launch any third-party apps, send data to them, and receive data back to couple it together with all our DHIS2 implementations now. And this includes, but is not limited to apps such as barcode and QR scanners, GPS mapping, and biometric identifications, which is the use case um, as Nancy was saying, that we've been working together with Simprints to implement. But basically, the ceiling is the roof. Like you could have whatever you wanted to do. We have tried to implement it in the most generic way to allow the recovery of as much data as we want, as we can. Sorry. Obviously, there could be space for improvement, but we think we've done a pretty good job at implementing this. Okay. So without any further ado, let's dive into the actual use case about how to configure it and how we'd implement everything with a bit more detail. Okay. So talking about the Simprints identification use case, what we have done, well, we'll first actually go into how to configure a custom intent. First, we have the custom intent identifiers. We have things like the name, the description. So this is used. I'll keep the documentation in this other page so you can see just if I in case I go very fast. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, and we'll address them in the Q&A, or someone from the team will reply. So as Anita was saying before, we configure the custom intents from the Android settings web app. Okay, so what you need to install it if you don't have it installed, and you need to navigate to the custom intents section over here. Okay. And then we'd create a new one now, and here we have the identifiers that we'd have. So we've got like the name and the description. This would tell the implementer what data is being recovered from what app. It's just a description for the implementers to. And fine, then we can link them to either a tracked entity attribute or data element. And something to keep in mind is that it doesn't is not program context specific. So if you do have an attribute or data element that it's shared over different programs, it will trigger the custom intent in all the places that it is used. Okay. And then we'd have the attribute that it's linked to. If it would be an attribute, if it's a tracked entity attribute, if not, it changes to a data element. Okay. And finally, the screen or action where it's triggered. This can be either in search or in data entry. Okay. Finally, we have the package name that this will be the third-party application package name that needs to be coupled with the action we want to trigger. This is what is related to the intents that I was saying before. That's maybe a bit more Android specific, but you can have the same app. Like in the case of Simprint, it has several different actions that can be triggered, and this is what triggers what tells the app what to trigger. Okay. Then we have the request parameters section, and this is where we are telling the third-party application what we need to send. In this case, obviously, mock ID is something that it has been changed locally just for security reasons. But this is dictated by the third party app. So this has nothing to do with NDHIS2 in the sense that it would be you need to know what information the third party app needs to trigger. Yeah? For example, if I go back to the documentation here, in this case, in the case of the Simprints app, we needed to send a project ID, we needed to send a user ID, a module ID, and also a version code for it. You can add as many parameters as you need. And also something interesting to mention is that oh yes, it's also type safe. So if it's a string, it needs to be surrounded by quotes. But you can also send um, booleans. You can also send floats. You can send integers, and it will send them with the value that they need, with the type of value that they need to be sent. Maybe this is a bit more developer specific, but I'm just giving as much information as I can. And another very interesting thing is that it also has support for the data functions used in program rules and some support for variables. Currently, the variables that are supported are things like over unit code, over unit ID, over unit path, user ID, and user username. In this way, you can link a specific old unit or a specific user that's triggering the third party app and link with whatever data configuration and data sets you are also coupling with the third party app. Obviously, if it's a simple app like a scanner or something else, it might not be needed for your implementation, but we have the capacity of doing this. Okay. Everything that I'm saying is very well documented in the documentation. So I'm just keeping it here on the side so that you can maybe read it at the same time as I'm doing the presentation. But feel free to it's all explained into with quite a lot of detail. Okay. And here you can see we've got some examples of what you could send. Like, for example, imagine if you needed to take a picture, you have the orientation, or if it's some sort of request, you can set the timeout that you have. Imagining an implementation that has and doesn't have a good network connection. No? Okay. So let's go on to the next part of the configuration. And this is the part where we are telling the DHIS to capture up what information to recover from the third party app. In this case, again, we have tried to set this up in the most generic way in order to enable as many third party apps as we can. And we believe that we've done a decent job at it. So the values of it are the extra name. So this is what, again, this is dictated by the third party app. So you need to know what that third party is going to send back to your application. This is usually set in the documentation of whatever third party app you're going to use, and or if it's your own app and the people that implemented this now, but it should be documented and by everyone. Yeah. Okay, so the values that we have in the things that we can configure in the intent response parameters is the name of the extra. So this is what will be returned, and it can also be these are the values that we support that we currently support. So imagine we're just going to recover a string from the app. We're just going to recover an integer, a boolean, a float, or a JSON object or a list of JSON objects. Okay, and finally the property in the JSON object. So this only applies if the extra is either a JSON or a list of JSON objects. Okay, so like in this case, for example, we know that this action from Simpkins returns a list of JSON objects, and we want to recover the parameter of the GID within that JSON object. So in this way, what we'll have a list of values that will be returned by this if it's all configured as it should be, which it is, as I will show you in a little while. Okay. What else to say about this? Mm, yeah, I think that's about it regarding the use case, the response configuration. I wanted to quickly talk a bit about Simprints, and just so that those of you that don't know, and we have the web page over here, and they say that Simprints is a non-profit tech company that's committed to transforming the way the world fights poverty. One of the few products that they have is things like robust identification tools, seamless project setup, and data analytics and support. We are going to be using the biometric identification in this use case, but feel free um, to visit their website and to have a look at what they offer because it does work great. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go into the actual use case. Okay, so what we have done, sorry, I'll just actually finish to say how we implemented this for this case. So what we did is we created one custom intent linked to this tracked entity attribute that we created and added into a program. One was configured for data entry. You can see it's calling the action of the Simprint tab that's register. So should happen is that you will, when you create an UTI, it will trigger the Simprint tab if as long as you've got it installed on your device. Then you'll scan your face. It will enroll them in their app and in their database or however whatever logic goes behind. Then we continue with the enrollment we created and then we created it, and here is, so in this case, we are just recovering one of the values because it just returns a single object and we recovering that same property. Okay. And then we created another custom intent that's only triggered from the search that calls the action identified from Simprints that we know that what it does is it searches the database for any matches with that biometric identification. And we will be able to, so the idea is that you'll be able to go scan someone's face and it'll return a list of TIs that match that face. Okay, so I'll just show you this. I hope you can see my mirroring device. Okay, okay, so we will first add a new person in any old unit, it doesn't matter. Okay, we'll create a name, we'll call it demo test. I'll have to apologize in advance. You're gonna get a close up of my face right now. Okay, see. Now what it did, what Synthesis Prince app did, is that it enrolled that phase ID and returned this git, which we are saving and adding into our DHIS2 flow. Okay, this is simply in the program configuration that has an automatic event creation. So we'll just quickly go back through that. Okay, so we can see this is our new TI that we created. And we can see the Simprint biometric identification. And we can see how it's displayed. Now what we do, we've also added this tracked entity attribute into the search flow. Now we've configured it so that it's shown in the search screen, as you can see here. And we can see that it also triggers the custom intent. So what this will do right now is it will also trigger the Simprint app. It will ask for the face scan and it will search in the database for any matches and it should return a list of values. So let's just verify that. It said you found 3 candidates now and it's returning that value. We search and as you can see, we have the 3 candidates that we're searching for. Just do that one more time. So it does search them. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so it matched all the ones that we created. You can see I have the one that I created right now and with the name demo test. and then we have these are two that he created before for testing, and that's the match that it had. So I believe this has we believe, sorry, that this has incredible potential, and will help you to seamlessly link the DHIS2 with other custom applications. So, yes, that's it from my side. I don't know if anyone wrote any questions. If not, I will be here till the end of the session, and we can kind of answer them later in the Q&A.
Yeah, I don't think we have questions so far. So we can continue and please write them in the chat or and we can address them at the end of the webinar. Okay, so I will share my screen again. Give me a moment. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. So thank you, Savi, and also thank you to the Simprints team that had been very supportive during this development of the custom intents. So now let's take a look of the new login experience. In this particular, I will show you in a moment the device, but I want to show you first the screenshots that I have here. We have divided or we have split the login in two different steps. This in order to have a cleaner, modern interface, more clarity on the server validation versus the credential validations, but also this is a work that has been done in order to support in a future version the two-factor authentication that currently we do not support but will be supported in 3.4. So as you can see, the first step of the login is adding the server URL. If you have a problem with it, you'll get a response with an error message. Otherwise, if you have a successful validation, then it will get you directly to the username and password screen. And in here, you will be validated by the if you have a connection to the internet or if you have uh, written well the username or password. If not, you'll receive an error message. And if you have biometrics and you only have one account, so fingerprint or face ID, this will be prompt again and will be ask you to for the next login, instead of writing the password, you will be able to add in the biometrics, the face ID or the fingerprint. Again, all this feature in general, we already supported it. It's just a different design and kind of a different workflow as it was before. The account screen, it has been redesigned as well to match the design and align to the design of the rest of the Android app. The main difference is that right now we are displaying the instance title. We are displaying, as we were before, also the URL and the user and the flag. So if you want, for example, this to say this is a testing instance or this is a specific, I don't know, a specific message to the user, now this is consumed by the app and it is displayed in the cards. Okay, so let me just show my screen for a moment. So in my case, I already logged in to a specific account, a demo server, and you see it already shows the title, it already shows the URL, the specific user that I logged in before. So it's asking me for a password, but if I want to, I can also go to the manage accounts. Now I can see it as a card and I can add a new account. So for this one, we'll be using this particular instance for this demo. I can either scan it through a QR code or I can type it. So first is establishing the connection with this particular instance. If it's successful as it is now, then it will show me the username and password. So I will be adding this. Okay, and then you can log in. As you can see, you can log in, you can recover the account, everything that we did before in the previous login, we can do it as well. We can import also the database if necessary. So once I logged in, now it's successful. So it will ask me if we want to send anonymous statistics. I can say not now, or I can say yes, depending and it will start, this is showing a black screen, but eventually it will start the home screen because it's getting, for now, it's synchronizing the configuration. So it's getting the parameters that I am allowed, in this case, to take screenshots. Okay, so while that loads into the it will take a moment. You'll see now I am in the home screen and I have this user particularly have access to these specific programs and data sets. Okay, so let's move on to the sync by working list. This is specifically, and I will explain how, but this is specifically is targeted to help to reduce synchronization time, but also some storage usage. And by this, I mean I want this specific pool of track entity instances or specific pool of events that matches specific properties or yeah, and I want to pull that and I want to sync only that. For example, maybe I have access to, let's see, my user, I have access to inpatient morbidity and mortality event program, and I have 177 events. So I don't want to see 177 events. Maybe I just want to see 10, but those 10, I want those specifically by, I can enter the event and you'll see, for example, I have the, let me go find this one, for example, maybe I just want specific age range and only those ones I want to download. Or maybe I want specific gender or a combination of a gender and age. So for that, and in the previous Android versions, you were not able to specifically say, I want to download all the events that are female plus ages between 10 and 30 years, for example. We were not allowed to do that. There were other type of filters before, like last update or status. You could say I only want to download the active ones, or I only want to download the complete ones. Now there is a whole new possibility to add specific or to download specific TIs or events based on specific data. So this is the way that it looks in the Android settings web app, which is where you configure. So this is like kind of a three-step configuration. First, you need the configuration on the Capture app, the configuration of the working list particularly. The Android app already consumes that and you can use it as a filter. But now, instead of using as a filter within the local database in the app, we are saying one step forward and we are saying, let's do it through the sync process. So you can say, I want to download the data of birth this month, for example. So as I was saying, first you configure the working list, then you go to the Android settings web app and you go to the specific program and you say, I want to download the TIs or the events, depending if you're on an event program, based on a predefined list. And it could be one list or it could be more than one list. And if you are saying, okay, I want to say birth this month, but also female patients. So if for some reason you have two different working lists, then the app will merge them, we'll have that pool, and then the app will apply the rest of the filters. So the main filter is this one. So I'm saying birth this month. And then to that specific pool, it will apply all statuses, any period time for the enrollment date, or any period time for the TS that have been the updated date. So in case you want to filter even more, then you can also use this ones. Otherwise, it will just be using the one for the predefined list. And then, okay, I will show you in the app. So let's use this example specifically. I think it will work fine. Um, so this is the inpatient morbidity. So I'm going first. I need to go to the capture app to create the working list. So I go here and select this particular unit because it's the one that my user has access to. And I can say, let's do, I don't know, 50 to 60 years. So it reduces a lot of this. And then I could even say, I don't know, last 3 months. Let's see. Okay, it seems like there's only three that are for the last 3 months in the ages between 50 and 60. So what I need to do is I need to save the view. Okay, we can save it. And what we need to make sure in this first part is that we are sharing. So we share, in this particular, we could either share to all, but this will apply to everyone, or specific to the user or group of users uh, that I want to. So in this case, I want this particular one, and I will give this particular user access. Now that I have done this, I need to go to the Android settings web app. And in the Android settings web app, I go to synchronization, then programs, then we'll see that right now we already have one specific program, so we can add a new one. Um, for example, I could do, if I didn't want any particular view, I could do, for example, I only want to download the events for last 3 months. That will also reduce the amount of events. But in this particular case, I don't want to do that. I want to do this specifically from the age of 50 to 60, but also the last 3 months. So that last 3 months was already a filter from this particular work list. I could do this, but it will be kind of redundant. It's possible it won't change anything because both of the filters said they are for the last 3 months. What happened if I said last month and in this one I'm saying last 3 months? So as I said before, what it will do is first it will get the pool of this particular work list. So the three of the track entity events in this case, the three of the events that we saw before. But then for those three events, we'll apply the next filter, which is last month. So let's say probably only one, I don't remember from the list, but probably only one was from the last month. So it will download only one. So this is the main filter, and then it will apply the rest of them. So for now, we'll just leave any period. So we save and make sure we save again the whole configuration. And just to make sure, yeah, we have saved it well. Okay, so now I'll go to the app. What I will do is, this is just for the demo purpose, because this usually you will configure it before logging in. But since I already logged in, what I need to do is I need to sync the configuration. So it makes sure that it is getting the new settings from the Android settings web app, the new program specific settings. And once that is done, I can go to the program or I can sync data from here specifically. Okay, it looks like it's done. So if I go to home, it will have 0 events because I haven't synced data. As you can see, it now is showing me the working list. So if I tap here on the refresh, okay, okay, it seems still doing something, but is if not, what we could do directly is go here and sync the data. This will sync all programs. So any of those should work and download according to the new parameters. Let's give it a moment. Okay, we'll give it a moment and see once it has been finished with the sync. Did I lose my server? No. Okay. Okay, so let's give it a moment and we can go back to it once it finishes. I think maybe I need to log out and log in again. Um, so I will finish with the list and then we can go back to it. Okay, so other UX improvements that we have done in the app specifically, one is the PIN verification screen. It's a different layout, and this is shown when you reopen the app after configuring or setting a PIN, and it will show you the dialog for you to specifically add the codes and then enter the app. Also, the setting menu has been redesigned as it says, to provide a cleaner structure and improve navigation experience, and also in preparation for the two-factor authentication feature that it's going to be displayed in 3.4. Here are some screenshots of the new PIN dialog, which is very different from the ones we had before, and it's more aligned to the new design of the app. And then we have the settings menu with new specific cards. All the features in there are the same, but it's just a very modern look. And we also have done some under the hood improvements. Let's say one is the migration of the database to Kotlin multi-platform. Um, this this too doesn't affect anything to the UI. Um, we have also done the reduce APK size. These two, as I said, they don't have any UI specific impact, but it does help to improve stability or performance itself. This particular one, it opens, of course, to multi-platform clients, and this one in particular is to have to help to download smaller package when you are for first installing the app or in general to have to help you with the storage of your device. Okay, so I will go back because I didn't want to lose time. I will go back to my device and I will log in again just to see um, that this is working fine. Let me just copy again. Uh, let's see, where's my app? Okay, so we will try this again as a fresh login. Now it's doing the sync of the configuration, and once that's done, you'll be able to see the home screen. Okay, so guess that should take a moment. In the meantime, important links for you to check out. We have the release, tickets, and everything that has been done for 3.3 in this filter in Jira. We also have the documentation as a reminder each time we release a new app. Then you'll see when something's new, you'll see it in the here as improved in 3.3 or new in 3.3, depending on the feature, and also for the settings, the Android settings of app. We will also, oh, sorry. Okay. You can also find the new features as the custom intents. And we also have the GitHub release with the release notes and all the different APKs. Okay, so any questions so far? Sorry, probably I don't know if you're hearing me well. Hope you are. Looks like my internet's not going well. Okay, so I will check the chat for questions. George is asking, for tracker programs with multiple events, can I filter for the most recent event for each TI? This will depend on the capture. I don't think. Let me check. I think if you're able to do it in the working list specifically, then yes, the answer is yes. So for example, you say for specific program stage, I want, I don't know, last month or whatever you could do with the dates, then you can save it and that will create a pool for a specific working list. I don't know if we have a particular last event, but you could say I want the events for last month if you know that those are the ones that are the newest ones. So you could do that, for example. In this case, there's nothing, but you could do that and you could display the specific events that you want. But this is the filter. If you're trying to filter the event itself within the tracker program, that won't do. What this will do is that based on this filter, the TI being downloaded will be a specific one that has an event in the past month, for example, and it will show you the events, but all the events. If you want to filter one specific event within a tracker program, that is currently not possible. If I didn't answer your question, let me know. Okay, and then Charles is asking, yes, this will be recorded and will be shared later through the COP, as well with the slides. Are there any other questions or comments?
I would like just to add for a second, Nancy.
Yeah.
I don't know, when I was doing the presentation, you probably noticed that I had to do the search a couple of times. This was not a problem with the actual functionality, but it was a problem with the live action because we were using a server that goes to sleep every 10 minutes. So what
Mm.
actually happened is that it went to sleep, and that's why it was not filtering correctly. But if you use a server that does not go to sleep, you should not have any problems with it at all. I can answer the question asked by George. There are not any right now. We did create a custom intent app for us to test all our different functionalities. But currently, the actual use case that this was implemented for was for the simple biometrics. And I believe they have other actions like verification, which is to verify someone's ID, and gives you maybe if someone in the Simprint is around here, they can expand on that. But it gives you like a range of how do you call it? Confidence in the identification and so on. But right now, this is the one that we know about. Great, George. Thank you. We have another question, Nancy, from Bangla.
Okay. For specific programs, using patients' pictures at different stages, is it possible to filter by selecting pictures related to a specific stage treatment? I actually not sure. Um I don't have here an example with that particular, but if you could filter, and this will depend on the working list, but if you're able to filter by the image ID or something like that, then yes, you will be able to download only that. But I don't know if that's allowed in the working list. I can find out and then let you know. Please write us in the COP so we don't forget about your question and we can reply to it later. Yes, Caroline, go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Nancy. I'm Caroline. I'm one of the other product managers. So just jumping in here, I believe that kind of pictures. I'm guessing it's maybe value type image. We can't really use that as a filter yet, but maybe you can, for example, also select the stage of treatment as an option set or something. You could filter by that, maybe. Yeah, it depends a bit on what kind of value types the data element is, but yeah, so you were correct.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. If not, I think we can leave it here. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.